What if the thing you've been trying to fix was never testosterone? What if the real problem is that somewhere along the way, you lost your desire, your drive? There's a question exploding across the internet right now. If I quit porn, will my testosterone go up? And on the surface, that sounds like a very reasonable question. This episode is brought to you by my HarperCollins published book, Mind Over Explicit Matter. Learn how artificial stimulation miswires your brain and what you can do to rewire it back to purpose, intimacy, and connection. Go to drtrishleigh.com/book. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Dr. Trish Leigh, your hostess with the mostest. I actually think it's the wrong question because most men asking that question aren't really asking about their testosterone. They're asking why they don't feel like themselves anymore. They want to know why they wake up feeling exhausted or why their motivation feels flat. They want to know where their confidence went and why it's disappeared and when they can get it back. They want to know why their ambition is gone and why they feel disconnected from the man that they used to be and the man that they want to be. Right now, there are entire industries making billions of dollars convincing men that every problem that they have starts with their hormones. Low motivation, testosterone. Low confidence, testosterone. Low libido, low T. Low energy, you guessed it, testosterone. Same thing for focus. And look, of course, hormones matter. They absolutely matter. But I know from working with thousands of men that many of them are falling into a category that I call the testosterone trap. They become obsessed with fixing the body while completely ignoring the organ in their body that may have created the problem in the first place. The brain. For a huge number of men, the dysfunction didn't begin first and foremost with hormones. It began with a dysregulated reward system in the brain. And if the reward system is compromised, raising testosterone alone may not solve what you're actually experiencing. So, let's answer the question honestly. Are you ready? Can quitting porn increase testosterone? Sometimes, indirectly. But testosterone may not be the only thing or the first thing that you focus on. Because what most men are really missing isn't testosterone. It's drive and desire. And those are not the same thing. Okay, so think about it. Most men, including maybe you, don't wake up one morning and suddenly become concerned about your hormone levels. They become concerned because they notice something changing over time, slowly. They don't feel excited about their goals anymore, or they're procrastinating more than ever, or the gym feels harder, work feels less rewarding, relationships feel flatter, and sex feels different. Life feels muted. Eventually, one day you start searching for answers. The internet responds immediately. Check your testosterone, boost your testosterone, optimize your testosterone. And for some men, that's exactly the right path. But, and this is a resounding but, and here's what nobody ever talks about. You can have perfectly normal testosterone. Many of the people that I work with, they go get tested and they do, and they still have completely dysregulated reward systems. So when you raise testosterone, you may still struggle with motivation or from feeling disconnected or from finding yourself compulsively seeking for stimulation to make your brain feel better because testosterone and dopamine are not the same thing. If dopamine, that molecule in your brain that is helping you to pursue pleasure from the thing that's repeated, if it becomes dysregulated, real-world desire and drive often disappear long before your hormones do. Okay, your brain has one primary job. It's to help you survive. And to do that, it needs to motivate you toward rewards. Food, connection, achievement, progress, purpose. The neurotransmitter most responsible for helping you pursue those rewards is in fact dopamine. It isn't just about pleasure. Dopamine is pursuit. It's anticipation. It's desire. It's the feeling that pulls you towards something meaningful. It's the reason you train for a marathon, or you build a company, or you pursue a relationship. Delayed gratification. You take the risk and you keep going when things get difficult. Healthy dopamine is what makes all that effort feel worthwhile. That's why your reward system is so important, because the same circuitry that drives desire also drives ambition. The same circuitry that fuels attraction also fuels achievement. The reward pathways in your brain, not only do they help you pursue real-world intimacy, they also help you pursue your life. But now, enter pornography. Pornography is unlike anything the human brain evolved to experience. High-speed internet pornography in particular, it's unlimited novelty, unlimited variety, stimulation, intensity, anticipation. One click, another, another. More novelty, more intensity, more dopamine. And over time, your brain adapts, because that's exactly what brains are designed to do. The reward system begins protecting itself from overstimulation. So your dopamine receptors become less responsive. Your brain starts normalizing the flood of stimulation, and slowly something changes. The gym doesn't feel as rewarding, and work is more difficult than ever. And your relationships, not only are they not rewarding, now they're stressors. Real world intimacy cannot possibly compete with the novelty and intensity of pornography. Long-term goals? Forget that, right? Life is flatter and more difficult than ever, and this is where men often make a critical mistake. They assume it's a testosterone problem, and of course the internet validates it, when in reality, you may have a reward system problem, because motivation is neurological before it becomes hormonal. I had a client tell me something I'll never forget. He said, "Dr. Trish, I don't even care about sex anymore, but I also don't care about the gym. And I don't really care about my business. I can barely get myself to work. I don't feel like I care about anything." That statement, the first time I heard it, stopped me in my tracks, because he thought he had a libido problem. But in actuality, he had a reward system problem. His brain wasn't struggling to pursue sex. His brain was struggling to pursue real life. That's when he realized the issue wasn't low desire. It was a dysregulated reward system that felt like low desire. That's the piece that so many people miss. When the reward circuitry becomes compromised, miswired, it doesn't just affect one area of your life. It affects everything that requires effort, motivation, pursuit, and real-world engagement. And this is where masculinity gets misunderstood. A lot of people equate masculinity with testosterone. But if you really think about what makes a man feel like himself, it's usually not a blood test. It's drive, desire, ambition, it's purpose. It's wanting something and building it, leading, creating, protecting something, protecting people. The experience of masculinity is deeply tied to healthy pursuit. And healthy pursuit depends heavily on a healthy brain and healthy reward circuitry. So when the reward system becomes dysregulated, miswired, many men begin feeling like a different version of themselves altogether. Not because testosterone disappeared overnight, but because the neurological systems responsible for desire and drive are no longer functioning optimally. And when desire and drive disappear, identity often starts disappearing with it. That's why so many men don't just feel tired, they feel lost. Okay, now let's talk about where testosterone actually enters the story, because the brain and body are, in fact, highly connected. Chronic overstimulation creates chronic nervous system dysregulation, autonomic nervous system dysregulation, ANS. The brain remains stressed, the nervous system remains activated. So this means that your sleep quality will decline, your recovery time declines, stress hormones increase, exercise consistency decreases, inflammation skyrockets while your energy, plummets. And over time, hormonal health can absolutely begin to suffer too, including testosterone production. We know this from scientific studies. So yes, pornography can contribute to low testosterone, low T. But not because pornography directly destroys testosterone, it's because the brain becomes so dysregulated first that testosterone production is then affected. The body adapts secondarily. The reward system struggles first. The hormonal consequences often come later, and that's a very different conversation than the one that most men are having today. This is why some men quit porn and they feel incredible, and they immediately assume that their testosterone came back. Maybe some hormonal improvements occurred, but often what they're actually experiencing is something even more powerful. Their reward system has recalibrated. This is why the gym feels rewarding again, and discipline feels achievable and a real world reward, where work comes back online and you love it again, and that attraction to your partner starts firing up and you feel motivated, and purpose and passion return. Your brain can become responsive to real life again when your reward system comes online. That's what many people are actually feeling, not a testosterone miracle. It's a dopamine recovery in the reward system in their brain. But there's another story nobody's talking about. Some men, on the other hand, quit pornography and nothing changes. And that is really, really terrifying to them. If you're in this situation, you know how it feels. You expected transformation and confidence and stronger libido and better erections and more motivation and more energy, but instead you feel flat. You feel more anxiety and you still feel urges to the compulsive behavior. You still feel disconnected from real world intimacy. Why? Because sometimes the brain has adapted for so long that removing the stimulus isn't enough. You stop feeding the habit, but that miswiring remains. The pathways remain. The nervous system still defaults to the old patterns. And now the issue isn't just behavior anymore. Truly, it's about circuitry. I see this all the time. A man spends years chasing stimulation in the screen and in hypersexualized content. Then he spends years trying to quit. Cold showers, discipline, apps, accountability, willpower, white knuckling, and keeps wondering why the struggle persists. The answer is simple. You cannot out-willpower a dysregulated neural circuitry and pathways forever. At some point, the brain itself must be retrained. And this isn't weakness. This does not mean that you're weak or is it a character failure. Your brain has learned a pattern through repetition, and strong patterns require intentional retraining and rewiring. This is exactly why I focus on measuring the brain. Because before you spend one more year or week or day or minute guessing, before you spend one more dollar trying to optimize your hormones, or before you convince yourself you're broken and you have to live with this, I want you to understand what your brain is actually doing, how it is performing, how it's miswired. I had a client, many clients honestly, who came in completely convinced that he had low testosterone. He had already spent thousands of dollars trying to optimize hormones. Supplements, protocols, blood work, testing, nothing changed. Then we mapped his brain. And for the first time ever, he saw the actual problem. The reward system was completely depleted, exhausted. His nervous system was very overstimulated, and his brain was stuck in a neurorigid pattern that no hormone protocol was ever going to solve. That realization changed everything for him because suddenly the problem became measurable. It became visible. And once you can see something and you can measure it, then it becomes trainable. This is the place where my work fits into this puzzle because personalized brain training can be incredibly powerful. The goal isn't simply stopping pornography, it's restoring healthy brain function, restoring a healthy reward system that then allows for healthy drive and desire. That way your focus comes back online. Real world attraction and intimacy can be regained, reclaimed. The same brain that learned unhealthy patterns can absolutely learn healthier ones. Neuroplasticity works both ways. The brain can become rewired, and eventually hardwired for life. So let's answer the question together one final time. Does quitting porn increase testosterone? Sometimes, indirectly. But that's not the most important question. The better question is this: what happens when a man gets his desire and drive back? Because testosterone isn't what most men are truly missing. They're missing the version of themselves that felt motivated, focused, purposeful, present, alive, and powerful. That's why I want you to get your edge back. So I'm going to leave you with this. The greatest cost of a dysregulated nervous system isn't low libido, and it's not even erectile dysfunction or low testosterone. The greatest cost is that you slowly become a spectator in your own life. You're less motivated, less engaged, less ambitious, and honestly, less alive. Most men never realize what is being stolen from them every day until they get it back. That's why this conversation matters so much. Not because testosterone's unimportant, hear me on that, but because your drive and your real world desire, they're priceless. And once you understand that your brain and the systems within it create desire and drive for your real life, everything else starts to make sense. So, until I see you next time, remember, my friend, to control your brain, or in fact, it will control you. Head over to drtrishleigh.com and check out my new programs in my Desire Rewire package, and I'll see you next time.